And earlier we spoke with Professor David Dunn. He is the Professor of International Politics from the University of Birmingham. Now here's what he's had to tell us about this conflict at this moment.
Absolutely. So there's two different issues here. One is international responses. And when the massacres took place initially following the Hamas attacks, all sympathy was on Israel's side for the brutality that it suffered. But since then, with the bombings and the death of civilians, and including children in Gaza, sympathy has shifted over the period since the initial attacks. So the world opinion is much more critical of Israel than it was initially. And then the second issue is that if Israel continues this operation and with the ground offensive there are more civilian deaths, then that will likely further radicalize, if it's possible to further radicalize, the Palestinians in the Gaza strips for generations to come. But not just the Palestinians there, the Palestinians in the West Bank, and indeed opinion in the Arab world more broadly. So there's a really difficult situation facing Israel, and that partly explains why the army hasn't gone in as quickly as we expected, in that they have the dilemma. They want to stop Hamas being a threat and a source of potential violence to Israel. At the same time, they have to balance against that the risk of making more terrorists as a consequence of their military action against Hamas. I think that risk remains. And what America has been doing, both through its diplomacy and by its positioning of two aircraft carrier battle groups in the Eastern Mediterranean, is trying to actually play down or to alleviate, put off, prevent the prospect of that. But there is a real possibility that Hezbollah in Lebanon will attack on Israel's northern border. If that happens, given that they are supplied by Iran, some people in Israel have suggested that they will attack the head of the snake, i.e. Iran, and then you could have an attack from Israel against Iran itself. If that happens, that will close the Straits of Hormuz, put up oil prices, it will prevent liquid and nitrogen gas getting from Qatar to Europe. It will be a massive shock to the international system. Of course, there's also the prospect that America may actually come to Israel's defense in Lebanon. Remember back in the 1980s, the US Navy fired a whole variety of ordnance into Lebanon in support of Israel. So if that happens, that you have America involved directly in the Middle Eastern war, what Russia does with its Syrian ally is in question. Whether Saudi Arabia remains neutral in the war is also an issue, given the rivalry between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So if things start to escalate, there's no telling where it ends up.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.